Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game. Welcome back to Hakuoki Edo Blossoms, where this time we're doing the youngest captain of our group of eligible bachelors, Mr. Heisuke Todo. So he had such a sugary sweet beginning in Kyoto Winds. It was the most adorable story ever. So I'm very excited to come back to him. He's the first one of our Shimabara trio as well. He's already a Fury. I mean, they are all basically already Furies except for Sanon? No, not Sanon. Sano. And the difference with him is I think he was the only one that we gave blood to in Kyoto Winds. So that kind of gave us a bit of a taste for what was going to happen in this game. So I guess we're just going to continue on with that going forward. And let's see what happens. Winter 1864. In order to find my father with whom I had lost contact, I, Chizuru Yukimura, visited Kyoto. In that city, I bore witness to a horrifying secret hidden within a group called the Shinsengumi. The Fury, a creature with white hair and crimson eyes. Luckily, I was saved from the vicious clutches of the Furies by the members of the Shinsengumi, who will remain nameless this time around because we did all of those three. Because I had discovered the Shinsengumi secrets, it was proposed that I live with the Shinsengumi men since they were also searching for my father. I had heard rumors, well, whispers really, that the Shinsengumi were little more than a bunch of crooked ronin, but my life with them proved otherwise. Their commitment to protect the safety of Kyoto made them the last of a dying breed. True samurai. It set them apart from those who only craved power. There's my boy. Amongst the men was Heisuke, who always seemed to have my back. Heisuke was the youngest captain, and he led the 8th Division. Since the two of us were closer in age than the other captains, we became quite close. However, in order to become a member of the Guardians of the Imperial Tomb, he had decided to leave the Shinsengumi. And we were both so sad. This faction, the Guardians of the Imperial Tomb, was led by a man named Kashitaro Ito. The Aberona Koji incident was spurred on by both the Satsuma domain and their demon affiliates, and Heisuke had suffered a life-threatening injury. Then he was forced to drink the water of life, transforming him into a Fury. My poor boy. At the time, the fate of the shogunate was threatened by the Satsuma Choshu, which later culminated in an inevitable battle for control of the nation. Thus began the Battle of Toba Fushimi. Heisuke served as a member of the Shinsengumi's Fury Corps during his campaign, but one thing became clear. He was more Fury than man now. Unfortunately, the battle ended in favor of the Satsuma Choshu, and the Shinsengumi were driven from Kyoto. They set sail for Edo in hope of a new start. I think he went up against Kazuma at the end, and Sen and Kimigiku came and saved us, which was much appreciated. Do you think Miki will show up? Because, you know, Miki was there when the whole betrayal thing happened. I miss Miki. Always in my heart, Miki. You're always my number one guy. I haven't seen him with his new hairdo yet, so I'm hoping we see Miki soon. It could be this one. Most definitely Miki will show up for Soma's route, because he was like the main antagonist for that. But girl can hope, right? For more Miki. Todo or not Todo, that is the achievement we just unlocked. Off to a good start. After we had returned to Edo, the Shinsengumi had reconvened in a Hatamoto's mansion, fashioning a new headquarters from the ashes of the old regime. These days, however, it was seldom that one of the captains would find themselves within its halls. Hijikata had been filling in as acting chief in Kondo's stead, the latter of whom had suffered a serious gunshot wound, so he often met with shogunate leaders. Ogita's tuberculosis was scarcely improving, and so he was bedridden in the hope of recovering quickly. Nagakura and Harada were both often found taking new recruits out into the Edo nightlife, enticing them with alcohol and adventure before joining our ranks. Although everyone else had carved a niche for themselves in our new surroundings, the members of the Fury Corps were not so lucky. Rather, they were forced to remain within the compounds as a measure of safety for all of us. I had a feeling that such an order wouldn't sit well with them, and it was only a matter of time until their discontent manifested into something worse. I tried my best to keep from jumping to conclusions, but I had a lingering suspicion that the Fury Corps, under Sanon's command, was just biding their time. I had to wonder, was I imagining things? Or was this simply the calm before the inevitable storm? For now, the question was left unanswered. Well, thanks, Chizuru. I feel really, not anxious at all after reading all of that. Could this be the calm before the storm? I don't know. On one such day... Hello?
Yukimura, do you have a moment of time to spare?
Sure, what is it? Sanon had snuck up on me, and in my surprise I muttered a timid answer. Don't sneak up on a girl, it's rude.
The house in which you used to reside is located in the outskirts of Edo, is that right? Would it be too much to ask if you were to lead me to where your house is?
My... house?
Rumor is that Kyoto had been performing extensive research into the water of life in Edo at the strong behest of the shogunate. So it seems natural of me to think he may have documented his research about the Furies quite well, and then hidden said documents within his home.
Oh, come to think of it. If this led to an opportunity to make progress with suppressing the bloodlust of the Furies, or even being able to reverse the effects entirely, then Heisuke would no longer have to suffer, and only Heisuke alone. But could I truly take Sanon's word for it? Ever since our return to Edo, he had been acting very conspicuously. That's just Sanon. My immediate reaction to his suggestion was to cautiously eye what his intentions may have been. Squint.
Is something the matter, Yukimura?
Well, firstly, I need to get approval from Hijikata to exit the premises.
Such a shame that he is absent today. Otherwise we could have gotten approval without question. From what I've gathered, Hijikata really makes his way back to the compounds these days, given that he is so entrenched in his meetings. Besides, if curing the water of life's effects is in the realm of possibility, we should act as soon as possible, right? Think of what it could mean. By helping me to discover an antidote for the water of life, then perhaps we can absolve poor Toto from his terrible suffering.
Oh, you sly dog. How dare you use my love against me? I forgot that Sanon kind of low-key shipped, actually, basically everybody in the Shinsengumi low-key shipped, Heisuke and Chizuru together. How dare you, though, sir? Sanon's lips smacked as he raised a valid argument. Oh, this is just getting worse. Nothing would make me happier than being able to save Heisuke, as well as all of the others in the Fury Corps from the pain of their condition. But I had to listen to my gut instinct, which in this moment was a reluctance to travel with Sanon alone.
Tell me, does what I say trouble you? I hadn't guessed that there would be much room for discussion.
Well, for starters, the town's way different than 4 years ago. If I had to guess, I'd bet that she's worried about finding her way around the city.
That voice. My boy, thank you. Always has my back.
Ain't that right, Chizuru?
Heisuke! Wait, when did you get here?
I don't know. A little while ago, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Sanon just sounded so giddy while you two were talking, I had to see what the commotion was.
Heisuke took pleasure in ribbing his comrade, then turned and spoke with a more serious tone.
So anyway, is it cool for me to tag along with you guys, Sanon?
You?
Well, yeah. When I took a stroll through Edo just the other day, I made a stop by Koto's clinic. In fact, if you wanted to, I could show you the way.
I believe Heisuke was referring to his most recent trip to gather more recruits. He must have dropped by my house and searched for any trace of father returning, because he always... I forgot about that. He was always like, I hope that you can find your father one day. Because he's got, like, his own family issues, too. Oh, Heisuke, it's all coming back to me now. What intrigued me was that his most recent trip hadn't taken place the other day, as he suggested. Suggested? I'm fine. Which led me to believe that he said it only to convince Sanon of letting him join our trip.
Very well. I suppose if it's in the interest of guiding us safely, by all means show us the way.
Right on. Leave it to me. Let's head over, Chizuru. You should get ready.
Okay. Thank you, Heisuke. Heisuke possessed a charming kindness that made it impossible for me not to smile in return. At first I was like, we aren't waiting till morning, then I'm like, Furies. These guys are like, I'm not gonna work through the burning daylight. Forget that. I operate at night. After discreetly making our way out of the compounds, we eventually traveled to the outskirts of Edo, where my father's clinic still stood, albeit quite decrepitly.
Ah, so this is Koto's famous clinic. Time hasn't done it any favors, has it?
How strange it is that such a familiar place to me can become so different in the span of years. The front of the house, at one point well kept and teeming with life, became dilapidated. Weeds sprouted through cracked stones underneath piles of dead leaves. Sorry for having you come along to this, Heisuke.
Not a problem. It's not like being here doesn't have anything to do with me, since we're looking for clues about the Furies. Besides...
Heisuke's tone became hushed, and he made a subtle gesture in Sanon's direction with stern eyes. It seemed Heisuke shared my quiet suspicions about Sanon's motives in this expedition. We got our eyes on you. No sudden moves. Scattered around the house were dusty tomes that reference Western studies, sketches of human bodies, glass bottles, and other colorful, mysterious vials. A book with studies, culture, and technologies brought over to Japan from the Dutch. I can't wait to see what glass is in the encyclopedia. Let's see. Glass. The only substance capable of encasing chemicals that undergo extreme conditions as a result of Koto Yukimura's experiments. Okay. That is interesting. Father's study, in particular, contained tall stacks of documents and books, none seeming to follow any sense of organization. Cutting through the dust was a scent with which I used to be quite familiar, reminding me of my childhood when I would sneak into his study and receive a scolding.
Man, where do we even begin looking? Last time I was here, I was just kind of peeking around casually, but this time we're actually looking for something specific.
You peeked around the house?
What's the matter?
Does that mean you went looking through my room too? How would you even know which one was her room? You can't answer definitively, Heisuke. Good grief. Chizuru, what a thing to think anyway. Good God. Now I can never get married.
No, I didn't go inside or anything. I mean, back then, I didn't even know where your room was.
You sure about that?
Yeah, sure as ever. Come on. Even I wouldn't go inside of a girl's bedroom without permission.
Sanon, it's like, do you mind? I'm here for science. Can you take your flirting somewhere else, please? Oh, that's so funny. Go on.
Ahem. I'd hate to be rude, but we have little time to waste at the moment. Should you come across any documents pertaining to the Furies, please place them in this pile. I will be sure to look through them.
Sure thing!
With that, the three of us tackled separate corners of the house in search of any clues we could use to learn more about the Water of Life or Furies. Amidst the frantic searching was the sound of pages flipping and rustling in these abandoned rooms. Strangely enough, I felt myself being taken back to the days when I had lived with Father in this house. With the father. My father. One of his habits was meticulously reading through his papers well into the twilight hours of each night. I had to wonder, where could Father be right now? Father. Just as the words escaped my lips. Hi.
Something wrong, Chizuru?
Oh, Heisuke. Sorry, it's nothing. Have you found anything?
Unfortunately, not a thing. There's just so many books to look through.
Looks like it. Say, where's Sanan?
Over there.
Heisuke's voice was a whisper as he signaled the direction Sanan had been in with his chin. That's our first picture, him looking very suspiciously at Sanan. Together, we silently observed Sanan in focus as he rapidly flipped through a thick, dust-coated pile of documents in the other room. I wonder if Sanan's found anything useful yet.
I have no clue. I mean, shit. Between you and me, we don't really have any idea what his real reasons are for coming here.
His real reasons. I was under the impression that he wanted to look for documents to help him better understand the nature of Furies in the Water of Life.
Sure, maybe as a cover story. But I can't say for certain how much of that story is true, though. Sanan's not exactly the type of person who'd tell either of us what he's got up his sleeve, even if he and I are both Furies.
I suddenly felt a sense of dread bubble in the pit of my stomach that compelled me to grab Heisuke's sleeve. Aw, what sleeve? He's wearing a sleeveless shirt. Girl?
Chizuru?
This caught Heisuke by surprise, and he worriedly began to ask me what was wrong. I suppose he had developed an eye for noticing when things bothered me, so he wanted to console me.
Everything will be okay. No matter what happens, I'm right here.
Yeah. Somehow, just the act of him comforting me was enough to soothe some of my anxiety. I wonder how he was able to do so. Whenever I found myself in a bind with Heisuke, he had a knack for calming me down. Was this feeling love? I caught myself in contemplation when... Hello? Hello? Brother? The sound of footsteps came from the other side of the door.
Huh? Who could that be? Is it Koto?
Or a thief, more like. Draw your sword, Toto.
Yeah, I know.
Both Heisuke and Sanan gripped the hilts of their swords in anticipation for this mysterious visitor, and the footsteps grew louder with each approaching step. Eventually, the door slid open. It was... Oh, it was Sen! Oh, hi, girl! It's been ages! I think this is the first time we've seen... No, we saw you in Okita's route. But it's been a while. It's good to see you again.
Oh? How strange. Here I was thinking that everyone would be here in attendance, or so Kiku led me to believe. Perhaps she had misspoke. Or have I just missed them?
That voice! It was Sen! Sen? What are you doing here?
Ah, Chizuru! So you were here all along. If I'm not mistaken, you're Toto. And Sanan, was it?
Yeah. Thanks for helping me out that one time.
If I am not mistaken, then you are the one who claims to be a demon princess. What is the meaning of your visit here?
Well, as luck may have it, I had something to discuss with you all. But before getting into any of that...
Girl?
Chizuru, what happened since we last met? Cosmo was being quite the nuisance, wasn't he?
Well, that's what he excels at, my girl. It's what he's best at.
Oh, yes. For now, at least, he hasn't bothered me since our arrival in Edo. Is that so? Good. I am happy to hear it. Perhaps he has more sense in him than I had anticipated.
So, what brings you here?
Oh, that's right. Well, I had Kiku look into something for me. Specifically, I instructed her to gather all of the information concerning the Furies and that vile substance, the Water of Life, and bring it to me.
The moment Zen brought up the serum, it seemed all of us became clenched tensely in the room.
Of all the things in the world, how very topical. So, out with it then. What has your little bird told you?
The Water of Life had originally been conceived as a method of recreating demon-like beings in this country. Allegedly, it contains traces of demon blood that hail all the way from a western country known as France.
Really? Huh. French demon blood is the key ingredient. That's very interesting.
Wait, are you saying that there are demon clans in other countries too?
Well, not exactly. Like our demon clans here, they possess extraordinary healing abilities and superhuman strength, but that is where the similarities end. We demons have no aversion to sunlight, nor are we burdened by the sickening taste of human blood. The demons in the West, however, feed on blood uncontrollably, and only through its consumption do their ranks grow.
Interesting. So they're more vampiric in the West. Is it not possible to use demon blood from this region as the source of the Water of Life? Or is there something about that is needed to make that serum? This is all interesting new information. Do continue.
So you're telling me that the reason why we have all these restrictions as Furies isn't because the Water of Life was poorly concocted, but rather it's all because it was made with demon blood from out west, where they all deal with this crap.
Precisely.
When Sen had first told me of demons, my reaction was not unlike how Heisuke's was in this moment. But what she had just described to us seemed like something else entirely. A fairy tale, written and told in the interest of scaring young children. I saw them, though. The Furies. How many of them transformed right before me. How their eyes became red once the thirst for blood began to consume every fiber of their being. I'm in the presence of two right now.
I see. How interesting. So if what you claim is correct, if a human were to drink the blood of a Fury, then theoretically they too would become a Fury. In a sense, it grants them an edge, a method of growth far superior to what your kind are capable of.
Don't be a fool. What you're suggesting is forcing others to sacrifice their humanity and alter their entire state, making them into some sick demon-like substitute.
Sanon's getting ideas. Imagine how big I could grow the Fury Core.
How do you expect them to retain their sense of self, their heart, after such a thing? Furthermore, expecting their bodies to handle such a significant change is lunacy. It can only spell disaster.
You are referring to the bloodlust, are you not? You need not explain it to me. I am acutely aware.
No, that's not all. As all of you are aware, those who've gained Fury powers have been bestowed with the attributes of regeneration and strength all demons are blessed with. But it does nothing to change the fact their bodies are human.
What are you getting at? I grew impatient hearing you repeat what is common knowledge to all of us.
Unlike demon bodies, the human body is fragile, and thus there is a limit to how much one can exert itself. In order to compensate for this, the human body borrows from its remaining lifespan in order to use these powers. Each time you activate the powers of the Fury, or perhaps even use it to heal simple flesh wounds, you are merely borrowing time from your future self. What?
I was slack-jawed. I found myself perplexed and trying to sift through the meaning of what Sen had said.
Borrowing from your future self? Wait, that means...
Suddenly it all clicked. If what Sen said was true, then borrowing time from their future selves meant... What does that mean for Heisuke and Sanan? Sen's shoulders shook as she was startled by my outburst. At first she gasped, hesitant to answer. Eventually...
Well, not to raise any alarm, but supposedly all of the subjects experimented upon by the shogunate have, without exception, turned to ash once their body fails.
As Sen's revelation came to light, I was left speechless. No matter how many times I replayed the words in my mind, I struggled to grasp what they had meant. Turned to ash. Who could she have been referring to? Heisuke and Sanan? No. An icy shiver ran down the length of my spine.
What the hell? So you mean Sanan and I are gonna die soon? Not just a normal death, did I get that right? We're gonna turn to ash like we're nothing?
Believe me, I am aware this is difficult to accept, but I pray you heed my warning. If you bear any desire, in the slightest, to extend your life, refrain from using your fury powers altogether.
Your warning is duly noted.
I found it rather peculiar that Sanan was stone-faced in response to Sen's warning. Maybe he was unconvinced, or even highly skeptical, his eyes thin, scanning Sen from head to toe. After an awkward pause, Sen turned to face me.
My intention is for Kiku to continue uncovering answers to this worrisome conundrum, but for now, may I ask where all of you are residing currently?
For the moment, we have rented a mansion owned by one of the Hatamoto. I don't think we would be too difficult to locate if you asked for directions for the Shinsengumi headquarters.
Let us hope you are right. Very well. Should more information arise, I shall send you a message. Should you ever find yourself in need of my counsel, I advise you contact Dr. Matsumoto for my whereabouts.
Dr. Matsumoto? Are the two of you acquainted, Sen?
Indeed. It was my search for Koto that brought our paths together. We've discussed how the shogunate and domain leaders are well aware of the demon's existence, have we not? Well, the resident shogunate doctor was none other than Dr. Matsumoto, whose affiliation with the shogun made it seem as though we were destined to meet.
One of the many medical professionals under the employ of the Takagawa shogunate who were proactive in seeking alternative methods to health treatment. I see. What a small world, I'd muttered to myself, no kidding. It comforted me somewhat, knowing that I could summon her assistance if the time ever came when I'd need it.
Far be it from me to take up any more of your precious time. Until next time, Chizuru.
With that truth bomb, Sen left us. After her departure, I glanced over at Sanan and Heisuke, whose expressions bordered on catatonic. An understandable reaction, to say the least. Surely they had still been processing Sen's somber news.
Our search for documentation of worth to our cause has proven fruitless. But somehow, it appears the truth has discovered a means of finding its way to us regardless.
Sanan's words were chilling, and he spun around on his heel to turn his back to us before marching away. Sanan, where are you going?
Back to headquarters. I see no further benefit in wasting my time here. For now, there is much to consider for myself alone.
Without another word, Sanan hurried out of the building. Only Heisuke and I were left in the house. Sen's cautionary omen struggled to leave me. Each time a Fury had used their powers of regeneration or superhuman strength, they were borrowing time from their future selves. Each usage came at the cost of another day, another week, or perhaps months of their lives. In the back of my mind, I only hoped that Heisuke hadn't taken the words too harshly. The thought made me nervous, scaring me into avoiding looking him in the eye. I stared nervously at the ground. Suddenly, I felt a soft hand rest itself upon my shoulder.
Hey, come on. Don't get so down. Sure, it might not have been what I was hoping to hear, but we made some huge progress today.
But doesn't it scare you, Heisuke? If what she said was true, then soon you and Sanan will be...
Well, yeah. I'd be lying to you if I said that I wasn't scared. But without any of these powers, I would have been dead a long time ago. Besides, so long as I don't use my powers willy-nilly, then it means I have a little more time, right? All it means is that from now on, it's better to be safe than sorry, right?
Heisuke's tone was hollow, giving me the impression that not even he believed the words he was saying. The threat of war looming in the horizon was no secret to either of us, and when that day came, Heisuke would have no choice but to use his powers. He would only be delaying the inevitable before his flesh turned to ash and was whisked away with the wind.
Hey, Chizuru. Come on, you gotta cheer up.
Hey, you don't have to put up a front either. You can be scared in front of me, it's okay. You don't have to comfort me all the time. Heisuke, you don't have to put up a front.
I'm not putting up a front.
Yes, you are. It's hard enough for me to see you feign a smile through all of this. I looked deeply into his eyes. Hidden behind his wide, bright eyes, I could see his confusion and anxiety festering lurking underneath. There was no way he wouldn't have been afraid. Death was frightening enough, but having your death be premeditated was another prospect entirely. I know there isn't much I can do for you, but all I ask is that you be honest with me. If you're ever having a hard time, please let me know. The last thing I want is for you to feel like you have to act tough for my sake. So please.
Chizuru.
Heisuke tepidly dug his teeth into his lips, offering a half-hearted smile once more. But then, a butterfly landed on his moon of a heart.
Thanks. Really, it means a lot to hear that coming from you. But I don't know if I can fulfill what you've asked of me. I mean, look at me. I'm brash as hell. I'm a show-off. If I gotta act tough in front of the woman I love... it almost came out!
Woo! Heisuke! And we've just begun! This is great. We almost got a love confession, like, right at the beginning. We know you love her, boy.
All I meant was that, well, I have a habit of wanting to show off in front of you.
Heisuke. Even when confronted with the sobering reality that he could die at any moment, he still forced a smile. But the smile resonated a little differently to the one he had shared with me only moments earlier. Perhaps he had accepted it with far more humility and goodwill than I was willing to give him credit for. You know, I just wish you'd let your guard down in front of me, but you aren't gonna do so, are you?
You've got that right. Oh, and another thing. You said there isn't much you could do for me, but that's a lie. You have no idea just how much you being here means to me. Seriously, thank you so much.
Watching Heisuke express such animated praise for me made my heart sink a little heavier in my chest. The precarious circumstances he'd found himself in mattered little in comparison to how he may have interpreted my feelings were about the situation. A brisk, chilly wind befitting the end of the wintry season blew nimbly outside of my old home.
Hey, aren't you cold?
Yeah, but I'm fine. It seems like the winter will be coming to an end soon. It's almost spring.
Spring, huh? Kinda makes you think about how time flies. Any idea what we were doing this time last year?
I think...
Oh, I remember now. Must have been around the time when the cherry blossom started blooming when I left to join EDO, huh?
The former military advisor and deputy commander of the Shinsengumi, as well as the older brother of Saburo Miki. He established the Guardians of the Imperial Tomb and was assassinated by the Shinsengumi during the Aberona Koji incident.
It's only been a year since then.
Heisuke's eyes thinned and he let his gaze wander up towards the overcast sky. The memory of Heisuke's departure was one that I wasn't exactly eager to revisit. It shattered me to think that our farewell might have been the last time either of us would see or speak to one another ever again. And that wasn't all. Heisuke nearly died during the Aberona Koji incident, and it took the water of life to resurrect him as a fury. An internal dispute amongst the Shinsengumi that resulted in the deaths of Ito and several of his men. Would Heisuke live long enough to welcome another spring beside me? As I became aware of the morbid thoughts swirling tirelessly in my head, I shook my hands to distract myself.
Hey, what's up with you?
Huh? What do you mean?
You're frowning.
Oh, well... nothing. It's just... nothing. I'm just a little distracted, is all. After everything that happened today, I'm still a little scatterbrained.
That's nothing for you to get all worked up about, though. I mean, it's not your fault we all had to become Furies, you know?
Heisuke might have seen it that way, but... it was my father that exposed this evil, the water of life, to the Shinsengumi all those years ago. So it wasn't as if it didn't concern me entirely.
Well, it'll be sundown soon, so we should probably make our way back to the compounds. Sunrise?
Yeah, you're right. I took a last long look outside as the wind grazed my cheeks and I prepared for the long trek back.